Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, I hope everyone was well and safe. Welcome to our ACCE ACCESS Virtual Conference. I'm Kevin Nguyen, President of the Association of Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs, ACCE. Before we begin, I'd like to share with excitement some welcoming remarks that we have received from Prime Minister Trudeau, Minister Ng, Premier Ford, Mayor Tory, Mayor Scarpitti, and Director Mo. Please enjoy.
Hello everyone, bonjour à tous, and welcome to ACCESS, the first virtual national event series by the Association of Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs. For starters, I'd like to thank ACCE for bringing together your members, industry influencers, and business experts during this challenging time. Today's event is just another example of Canadian businesses finding new ways to innovate and grow as we continue to deal with COVID-19. Je sais que la pandémie est difficile pour les propriétaires d'entreprises et les travailleurs d'un bout à l'autre du pays. Vous êtes nombreux à vous demander si vous pourrez rester ouvert ou nourrir votre famille, et je tiens à vous dire que votre gouvernement est là pour vous. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we stepped up to help Canadians pay their bills and help businesses keep operating. And as we restart the economy and work towards rebuilding a more resilient Canada, we will continue to support you as long as you need it. Because we can only build a healthier, greener, and fairer Canada together. I also want to take a moment to speak about the increase in anti-Asian sentiment that we've seen during this pandemic. This rhetoric is unacceptable, and we will always speak out against discrimination and hatred in all its forms. Here in Canada, we celebrate our differences, and by staying united, we will defeat this virus. So once again, thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy today's event. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, et encore une fois, merci.
Hello, everyone. I am happy to take part in the Association of Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs' first national virtual event with business owners from across the country. It has been great to come together ahead of Small Business Week to celebrate Chinese Canadian business owners and entrepreneurs. We know that the last few months have been incredibly difficult. Whether you're a small business owner trying to keep your business afloat, or a parent caring for your kids, or a senior in need of support, Canadians have shown incredible resilience and strength over the last few months. The Association of Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs, or ACCE, has supported and strengthened Chinese Canadian businesses for more than 25 years. You've adapted to more digital and online services. You're continuing to support businesses through these challenging times, and you truly have been an inspiration to our community. In addition to the challenges that we are facing under COVID-19, many Asian Canadians are also experiencing a rise in anti-Asian racism. I'm proud of my Chinese heritage, and I'm proud to call Canada my home. I will always stand up for Canadian values of acceptance, inclusion, and diversity. As we move forward, let's continue to come together to support our businesses and our diverse communities. I want to congratulate you on a successful event. Thank you all so much. Merci beaucoup.
I'd like to congratulate the Association of Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs for launching ACCESS, an online platform that will engage members in new and exciting ways during these challenging times. Since 1992, the association has been fostering an environment of entrepreneurship and competitiveness in Canada and the global market. Now, your new virtual program, ACCESS, will help connect members with leading thinkers, industry influencers, and business experts across Canada. I'd like to thank the Association for helping businesses explore new strategies during these challenging times. Once again, congratulations. Good luck on your upcoming virtual event.
Hello, Mayor John Tory here, and it gives me great pleasure to extend greetings and a warm welcome to everyone attending ACCESS, the Association of Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs' first national virtual forum. You know, while we navigate through these uncertain times and practice physical distancing, ACCE has connected its members and community of entrepreneurs through this event. And I want to commend ACCE for putting together a virtual forum that is going to help small businesses and help leaders prepare for the new economy. I also want to thank ACCE and its members across the country for helping Toronto stay focused on modern solutions and new ideas during these unprecedented times. And so on behalf of Toronto City Council, please accept my best wishes for a successful forum. Your work is very important. Thank you.
Leho ma, ni hao. Hello, I'm Frank Scarpitti, Mayor of the City of Markham, Xizhong Xika Ping. And it's great to be with you today for this ACCESE Virtual Forum organized by the Association of Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs. Congratulations, Kevin Young, and to your team at ACCE for putting on this great virtual event. I want to commend the ACCE for reimagining how they offer services to their members. COVID-19 no doubt has challenged all of us, but I'm really encouraged to see organizations like ACCE adapt to the new ways of connecting by creating these virtual dynamic events. Discussion topics such as business model innovation and consumer trend behaviors are especially relevant today in this ever-changing world. At the City of Markham, we are very proud to support you because you are the backbone of our economy, the people who are chasing their dreams, creating jobs, and investing in both their community and, of course, your own futures. Early on in the pandemic, the City of Markham became the first municipality to join the Canada-wide Shop Here initiative, which supports local entrepreneurs who may need to rethink their business model beyond the bricks and mortar and need to fast track their digital transformation. The Shop Here program provides independent businesses the opportunity to develop an online store which is built and launched with no fees charged to the business and with the support from marketing and business students from the Schulich School of Business. This is a significant collaboration with leading tech partners like Shopify, Google, MasterCard, Microsoft, and Facebook, and of course, York University. I encourage you to learn more about our efforts to assist business and entrepreneurs during COVID-19 by contacting our Economic Development Office. This is but one of many examples of how the City of Markham is here to help as we get through this challenging moment in history. I wish you well as you embark on this virtual forum. I'm sure you're excited to hear from the great list of panelists and of course your keynote speaker, Bruce Poon Tip. Once again, thank you to you, ACCE, and to the sponsors for this amazing event.
Hello everyone. Many of us have not met for a long period of time. It is my pleasure to join you at this ACCE Virtual National Conference today. First, I would like to give a big applause to ACCE for its efforts to support and unite the Canadian Chinese business community across the country during this special time by organizing this wonderful event, as well as other webinars tailor-made for the small and medium business, women and young entrepreneurs, etc. Same as other economies, Hong Kong is fighting the pandemic tirelessly. Currently, the pandemic in Hong Kong is largely under control. Even the most hot-hit sectors like hotels, they have displayed the Hong Kong can-do spirit and offer a lot of staycation packages for local tourists. Shopping malls also introduce different promotions and attracted queues of shoppers to their malls. On a more positive note, last month, Hong Kong was rated by the Canada-based Fraser Institute as the world's freest economy once again. This is certainly an unambiguous recognition of Hong Kong's long-standing commitment to building a free economy with a level playing field. The solid economic recovery of the mainland Chinese and Asian markets also gave Hong Kong a great support. Recently, there is speculation of Hong Kong's rule of law and freedoms being possibly undermined. I would like to clarify that the crimes stipulated in the new national security law should not bother the business operator who have no intention to commit those crimes. The rule of law, as well as various legitimate rights and freedoms, are the fundamental core values of Hong Kong and are much cherished by the government and community. During this special time, some forward-looking companies are thinking out of the box to expand to Asia. and Hong Kong is always the best destination for landing. Please join the breakout session of Hong Kong ETO, at which my colleague will share more information on how our office can help companies' expansion to Hong Kong. I hope that we can welcome you in Hong Kong not too long in future. And I also look forward to seeing you in person once the pandemic is under control. Thank you.
Once again, we would like to thank Prime Minister Trudeau, Minister Ng, Premier Ford, Mayor Tory, Mayor CIBT, and Director Mo for their kind remarks. To give you a bit of background on ACCE is the leading national Chinese Canadian business association. We have a 26-year history and members in a broad base of industries across Canada. In a normal year, we will host up to 15 events in a variety of formats, including our signature awards gala, business forum, various types of networking, and celebrative events. But of course, 2020 is not a normal year. Like all of our members have had to pivot and adapt to the pandemic, ACCE has done the same. Based on the word play on ACCE, the new ACCES Series conference is about giving everyone the same access to programs and networking in a virtual space. Through ACCES, we will bring a dynamic, interactive digital experience to our members, non-members, and sponsors. I guess until we are able to meet in person again. For those who are new to ACCE, please visit the ACCE Expo booth through the vertical menu bar on the left-hand side of the screen. There, you will find a corporate video and membership information. This is our 7th online program since March, and the first national all-in-one virtual event. Indeed, this is a very ambitious kickoff event with speakers and participants from across Canada. We even have participants from outside Canada, actually. I want to take this opportunity to thank our gold sponsor of this virtual event, RBC Royal Bank. RBC has been our multi-year sponsor of our Lifetime Achievement Award, as well as many other events. Thank you for making today's event possible. I would also like to thank our supporting partners, the City of Markham, Hong Kong Economic Trade Office of Toronto, the Asian Google Network, AGN, for their support. Each one of them will be hosting their breakout room later in the program. You can actually find more information about their our sponsors and partners in the Expo area that I had mentioned earlier. Now, also on the menu bar of the left side of your screen is the reception area. This is like your homepage that you can move to other places from. From the same menu bar, you will find different rooms for today's event. For our keynote speech at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the stage room, we're very fortunate to have our ACCE Award winner, Bruce Poon, founder and CEO of GF Ventures, a global adventure travel company. Bruce will be sharing with us his entrepreneurial insights relating to the pandemic. As some of you know, already know, that Bruce operates in the hard-hit tourism and travel industry. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing his thoughts on pivot, strategies, and learnings. Thank you, Bruce, for your time. Now, after the keynote, we'll have a 5-minute break, followed by a panel discussion at 2:45, also in the stage room. For our panel discussion, we have 4 other past ACCE Award winners from across the country who are all accomplished entrepreneurs in their own fields. They will share their entrepreneurial insights on how they have navigated through these last few months. So we have from BC, Graham Lee, President and CEO of GSL Holdings. Also from BC, Toby Chu, Chairman, President, and CEO of CIBT Education Group. From Alberta, Kit Poon, co-founder of Mint Health+Drugs. From Ontario, Stephan Chan, founder and CEO of Dapasoft, Inc. These discussions will be moderated by Karen Nguyen, Senior Director of Wireless Marketing at Rogers Communication. After that, we'll be opening our breakout rooms in the sessions icon on the left-hand side of the menu bar. There will be 2 breakout rooms at a time, 25 minutes each. They will be hosted separately by RBC, City of Markham, Hong Kong Economic Trade Office, and Google. Please refer back to the topic and speakers of each breakout room in the reception area. To wrap up the event around 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will open up a networking room, a one-on-one speed networking matchup that randomly pair you up with the other attendees every 5 minutes, one-on-one. It is as close as what networking in person will be like, minus the handshake part. We tried it last time, and it was a lot of fun. Again, if it sounds a bit overwhelming, always circle back to the reception area where you will find the agenda. One last reminder about the chat function. Please pay attention to the different kind of channels you can select from, whether that's going to be stage or the room you're in. So that's it. Thank you. And the first break will start now. Feel free to explore different areas, grab a coffee, and visit the stage room where our keynote will begin at 2:20. Welcome once again to this ACCESS event. For our keynote, I would like to welcome entrepreneur, leader, philanthropist, and founder of GF Ventures, Bruce Poon, to share his insight with us. Also, Bruce has published recently a short ebook called Unlearn, The Year the Earth Stood Still. I think he's going to mention this in his talk as well. Thank you, Bruce. The stage is yours.
Thank you. So great to be with you for this keynote. This is a bit strange for me. I'm in my office here, as you can see. No one else is here. The travel industry is shut down. ACCE, I was introduced to when I won Entrepreneur of the Year in 2007. I remember very clearly. It was a very special honor for me being recognized by the Asian community. My background is, both of my grandparents were from China, but I was born in Trinidad. They came over to Trinidad, and I moved to Canada as an immigrant from Trinidad when I was young. And I grew up, in Calgary, was where we were in Alberta, and I grew up, kind of lost out there. When I came was the late 60s, early 70s, was when I moved up here. And, I remember, how special it was to be recognized. I won Entrepreneur of the Year in the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2006. But for some reason, when I received it from the ACCE, it meant a little bit more to me being recognized by the community I'd most identified with, which is the Asian community, and where my grandparents were from. But I moved here to Toronto in 1990 and started GF Ventures 30 years ago. So my journey as an entrepreneur and as an immigrant to Canada, I don't think is a unique one. I think what's unique is how I started my business and we became successful internationally. GF Ventures, a company that's with offices in 28 countries, trips in 100 countries, over 2,500 employees around the world before the pandemic, and starting a global business right here from Canada. And from my experience as an entrepreneur here, I think is what's unique about my story. So I've got a few things I'm going to talk to you about today. They've given me some kind of topics. I've got some notes here. I'm going to keep it fairly casual, but I'm going to start with talking about the impacts of COVID has had on our industry, and obviously the travel industry is shut down. Companies like ours are in hibernation. As I said, as you can see behind me, I'm in our building in downtown Toronto. I think there's only 3 people here today. And we've had to make some very tough decisions over the last 7 months. We are in unprecedented times. I never thought that the world could ever shut down the way it has. And my initial decision was on the 13th of March when we shut down the office here. And we all thought it would be a month or 2 months or 3 months that there would be a disruption in business. Any business can take a disruption of a few months, even 2 months. But suddenly, as a company, we were, we realized this was going much longer, and it escalated so quickly. Because on the 13th of March, when I made those decisions, there was no thought of it lasting, as long as it did, and then it escalated so quickly. I never thought that you could shut down borders or even get to a point where, countries like Australia actually banned their citizens from actually leaving the country. Us losing our freedoms in every way outside of just traveling to other countries, but then losing your freedoms within your own home. It seemed like it was like a bad Will Smith movie we were living in for about a week. And as a business, as an entrepreneur, these times it was devastating. We had to make some very tough decisions. Obviously, working with government programs, we have offices, as I said, and employees in over 100 countries. You can imagine that the complications of dealing with government relief programs in different countries. Some we have only a few, but some employees, but some countries we have hundreds. And so just dealing with that, and then how it escalated so quickly beyond just border shutting, realizing that this pandemic was much more serious and it was going to go the long haul. And here we are 8 months later, still uncertain of the future of when people will be traveling, be able to travel again, even if they're even if they're willing to, because airlines are shut down, borders are closed. But where we are now is very different. We've made our tough decisions. We've made several rounds of right sizing the business. We're at a stage now where we've actually brought in new people for the first time. We're working on a lot of projects with the business, staying aggressive, but also our culture was such a big part of our business, and we've been pushed remotely, and dealing like on with technology like this to communicate and communicating efficiently and running a business efficiently, very efficiently actually. I think we're doing amazing as a business, but we miss those random collisions and that lateral thinking that happens when people meet casually in an office space, in an open office space, and ideas and innovation comes from random collisions that you run into people in meetings or in hallways or in having lunch in the lunchroom or whatever. And so we can run our business, and we're doing a great job running our business and planning for the future. But I think we're still missing a big element when it comes to innovation and creating the energy needed to be, a global leading, we're leaders in our sectors globally, and to maintain that without seeing people and relying on digital communications, I think, is a new challenge for us. It's not impossible, but it's a new challenge, and we're all learning new things. And here we are. I've always bragged about being a 30-year-old startup. We've been a company that has had double-digit growth for 30 years. I don't know many companies. I've never met another company actually that's had 30 years of double-digit growth. A privately held company, anyways, like ours. And we were just killing it just before this pandemic. We were growing 40 and 38% some months after 30 years. But as we look forward now and we see, we've made the difficult decisions, we see the opportunities ahead of us as a company. We see there is great opportunity for us on this other side, and we get to rebuild our business and rebuild and rethink how we do everything. And it's actually quite exciting because I now have 30 years of knowledge of running G Adventures. When you build a company for 30 years and you have 30 years of double-digit growth and you're constantly growing and you're adding people and adding departments and you're, putting Band-Aids on, issues all the time, trying to do things better, but never being able to rethink, how you would do everything, is really the situation that we're in right now. And it's quite exciting because we get to be a startup after 30 years of operation and having the knowledge of 30 years on how we can rethink of everything and what we can do differently to be better and stronger, on the other side of this pandemic. Just after, things escalated, this brings up, it's a good segue into my next point about when I wrote this book in isolation. It's a free downloadable Instabook, which I coined the term Instabook. I was asked to write communications and letters to our customers, to our fans, to our employees, in the height of the escalation. And everyone, I think all of us received, an email from every kind of internet purchase we've ever made on various companies that we buy, cosmetics or T-shirts or clothes from, giving you their description of how they're handling the COVID crisis. And it seemed like every email and every message was the same, that we're going to work together as a community, we're going to come together, we're going to be stronger after this, it's going to make us stronger. And everyone said we're saying the same thing, but nobody knew. It was said, I think it was a very insincere time for business because we were trying to hold things together, but nobody knew what was going to happen on the other side of this pandemic. The only time I've ever felt that is on the other side of 9/11, where in the days following 9/11, nobody knew what was happening in the world. Now this has gone months as opposed to days with 9/11, and months later we still don't know for sure where we're going to end up after this pandemic. So I started writing a letter to our and I wrote it numerous times to send out to our customers and our travelers and people around the world, and everyone wanted to hear from me, but I realized I had nothing to say in that minute that was meaningful. I could put the same kind of points out, that we're going to be stronger on the other side of this. We're going to work together and our community is strong. All that, those talking points, but it didn't feel right to me, and it felt, it didn't feel to me that it was words that I wanted to say. So I started writing one night, and I just kept writing and writing and writing. And it went beyond a paragraph, it went beyond an email, it went beyond a letter, it went beyond a chapter, and then it suddenly became a short Instabook. And during that time I was writing it, I coined the term Instabook, and I'll just write my thoughts, and it was a stream of consciousness, just dumping my thoughts on not just the pandemic or where we are, because like everyone, I didn't know where we were, but the opportunity. And also identifying that, this forced pause, we're forced to stop. Maybe it's not such a bad thing for the travel industry. And started to, talk about my thoughts on the industry, that we weren't in a great place prior to this pandemic. The travel industry was not it was not in a good place. We were at a place in the travel industry where the destination was irrelevant. People were buying amenities. When you're reading brochures to buy travel packages or travel holidays or cruises or resorts, you're asking about entertainment value, like Broadway shows or 10 different restaurants to serve you food, or thread counts on sheets, or indoor surfing, or basketball courts, or carousels, roller coasters, go-karts, whatever it was. The destination wasn't relevant, and people were buying amenities. And to be in the travel industry and be in a place where people were purchasing amenities and commoditizing travel, and not wanting to, travel in a meaningful way and be connected to destinations, I think is a very dangerous place for the travel industry. So it got somewhat political in my mind as I kept writing, and I finally finished. It's only 12,000 words, and it's, I wrote Unlearn. I've written 2 other books prior to this. One was a New York Times bestseller, Loop Tale, and Do Big Small Things, which was on our 25th anniversary. I decided to figure out a way I could just give it away for free, because as a service to the travel industry and people that were, wondering, the opportunities on the other side of this pandemic. So luckily, Amazon came on board to be able to, to download a free book. Apple Books came on, and I think they post a link here. It's unlearn.travel if you want to download it yourself. But so that book came out with the vision of the future. But with every downturn economy or any disruption in market, whether it been the Great Depression, the 2008 crisis, 9/11, the Gulf War in the early 90s, it causes great tension in businesses, creates sometimes great collapse, but through the ashes always creates opportunity. And that's been shown over and over again over time when there is disruption in any market. And it's no different now as we are in COVID, and we are dealing with an uncertain immediate future, but you have to believe the long-term, there'll be a long-term return. When we think of things now, we think of a short-term solutions, mid-term solutions, and long-term vision of where business will be. So there's great opportunity now. We can see the great opportunity on the other side. We're going into acquisition mode. There'll be great acquisitions. We believe there'll be less competitors. The landscape of travel will change. I think there's going to be a lot of different ways people look at travel. I hope people are more connected to destinations and more purposeful when they want to travel somewhere, as opposed to shopping for amenities and needing all the comforts of home to travel. It's the strangest thing in the world to me that in order for you to travel, you want all the comforts of home and feel like you never left home. It's the most counterintuitive thing I've ever heard, and that's the inspiration of why I started G Adventures in 1990. We were on that road to all-inclusives and cruise ships and things that were unnatural for me on why people want to explore and see the world. But the opportunities now to create a conversation with your customers that transcends your product. It's our greatest challenge to differentiate as entrepreneurs in business. And I know there's most of you entrepreneurs here. We want to constantly differentiate. And it starts with conversations that transcend your product or your service, and creating those conversations with your customers. And here we are now. In this at a great time where there's so much misinformation and confusion. But as professionals in whatever industry or service that we provide, we can create a conversation with our customers that transcends what we do. And it's a great opportunity because, when you're in good times, all you talk about is how you can sell your service or your product to your customers. But here you are now having that opportunity to transcend that and create a conversation with your customers that transcends what you do. Thought leadership is everything right now. So I implore all of you entrepreneurs out there that have businesses to think about how you can be a thought leader in whatever it is you do, how you can actually learn something beyond your product on how you can help your customers and create more purposeful connections with your customers. We have all the tools. We're using digital more than ever to create conversations and customers. Social tools are free and available to everyone. And global thinking is something that that we're all forced into right now. We've just finished 4 years of division on this planet, of breaking trade agreements, Brexit, building walls, this populism movement, electing governments that want to tear down equity and villainize immigration, which really is a big issue for us in the Asian community. But it also this pandemic has brought us all together because we all have to think together. We have to work together. After this 4 years of division and separation, we now have to come together to get out of this. And it's making the world a very small place, and realizing we all need each other. And that there is the opportunity as entrepreneurs to, take advantage of people realizing that we need each other and be more purposeful in what they do, be purposeful in their decisions, not just travel, and create a more equitable planet. So thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry there was a delay there at the beginning. Good luck to all of you. Stay safe during this pandemic. And thank you for all the support ACCE over the years. And thank you for asking me to be here today.
And welcome to the panel discussion. I am really, really excited. I had a chance to listen to Bruce's keynote. And I really hope that our panel discussions really inject that level of passion and energy that he has in developing his business. And then we have an exciting and wonderful panel who's taking their time to kind of share with us what their stories and their journeys are, and just on a few key topics. So without further ado, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Karen Nguyen, and I have the honor and privilege to really hosting and moderating this session. And I'd love to introduce our amazing panel on with us today. Right off the bat, I'd like to introduce Graham Lee, who is the president of the GSL Holdings. Welcome, and once again, a winner of the 2019 ACCE Entrepreneur of the Year Award. A little bit about Graham's organization. The GSL Group is based in Vancouver, BC, with offices and operations located in Victoria and Kelowna. Their divisions really span a wide range of industries, including like real estate development, holdings, construction, sports and entertainment, recreation facilities, travel, hospitality, health, fitness, agriculture, and e-commerce. Next, I'd like to introduce Toby Chu, who is the chairman, president, and CEO of CIBT Education Group, and also winner of the 2015 ACCE Entrepreneur of the Year Award. CIBT Education Group is one of the largest education and student housing investment companies in Canada, focused on the domestic and global education market since 1994. CIBT owns business and language colleges, student-centric rental apartments, recruitment centers, and corporate offices in 45 locations in Canada and abroad. Both Graham and Toby are actually based in BC. So welcome, Toby. Next, I'd like to introduce Kit Poon. Kit Poon is the co-founder of Mint Health+Drugs, which is a medium-sized pharmacy company with 13 locations based in Alberta, serving many unique communities. Last but certainly not least is Stephan Chan. Stephan Chan is founder and CEO of Dapasoft. I've actually had the honor of providing the award of winner of the 2019's Most Innovative Award. And just to recall Kit as well, Kit and his other co-founders are actually winners of the 2019 ACCE Best Community Service Award. So congratulations on that front as well. In terms of Stephan's organization, Dapasoft, just a little bit about the organization. It has been around for over 15 years, providing healthcare solutions using Microsoft Azure to help healthcare providers and payers in the US and Canada overcome any obstacles and clinical application integrations and healthcare data consumption. So once again, gentlemen, thank you again for taking your time. What I wanted to do is really open it up with the first question for all of you. I mean, we've all heard with regards to the pandemic that it has created a lot of challenges, both on the personal and professional side. I'd love to understand how each of your organization has really pivoted during this period, whether you whether it has hindered or at least helped you accelerate your business. So I'll open it up to the floor, and I'd love for each of you to kind of share your perspective.
Well, I mean, should I
go for it, Graham?
So, I mean, fortunately we were very diversified. So the pandemic obviously was a big impact on the world. Because we were in so many different industries, some got really affected, some didn't. So that was one thing that really helped us, was the fact that we were in some businesses like music and in sports and entertainment that completely got canceled, like our shows for Cirque du Soleil or James Taylor. But then other businesses like our food and beverage, our liquor store sales, some of our tenants did really well, like Canadian Tire and Loblaws, that we were able to manage through this. So we were able also to pivot on one of our buildings, for example, in Victoria, where we typically held shows like Elton John, and we converted it into a homeless shelter. So the homeless shelter then became, a very positive thing for us, which we didn't expect. And now I'm looking at opportunities to help more homeless in the province of BC. So good things come out of this, which is amazing sometimes. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Toby, over to you.
Yeah, for the pandemic, obviously is causing some chaos, because we bring in, as well as educating locally, about 12,000 students per year in Canada, and we operate hotels and rental apartments for students. So we also have 5 real estate projects, over 1.5 million square feet being built and under construction. So to us, initially, it was a bit of a shock. Since March 18th, international students obviously are not coming in, and many international students are also rushing home. But of course, depending on which country they're from. If they're Indian students, chances are they're not rushing home. But if they're Chinese students, feeling that they are a lot safer in China, so a lot of those international students were rushing home. And then, of course, the tourists also stopped arriving since the border shuts down. So obviously, that's another impact. The sentiment for the entire education sector and the hospitality sector went into a panic mode. But fortunately, our team huddled together and start reshifting some of our focuses. For example, instead of targeting only students, we also expanded our facilities to healthcare workers, giving them a discount because a lot of these doctors and nurses working at the healthcare facilities do not want to go home right away after work. So we gave them a discount as part of a community contribution, helping the community. But because of lower discount, at least we're able to get the cash flow, maintain our hotel in good order. And then we also switch our focus to a lot of domestic students. because a lot of universities across the country practically shut down their dormitory, afraid of the community transmissions. And a lot of students are not able to go home right away. Either you're not getting the plane tickets or just not allowing the schedule. So we open up our long-term facilities into a shorter term, allowing them to stay, within a month, 2 months. So all these were very helpful. For the education sector, actually, it was quite surprising, but and it shouldn't be, as we have the old saying that when you are not learning, when you're not earning, you should be learning, or the other way. So a lot of students who are graduating this year were thinking of getting into the marketplace and find a job. Obviously, that is becoming an issue. So many re-register for additional courses, extended their programs. Both domestic students and international students are doing the same. So we, in fact, recorded a much higher registration for September this year for enrollment. Kind of surprises to us, but that's also partly to do with our marketing effort. Instead of rolling over and play dead, we actually increased our marketing budget during the month of August and September, which really gave us the extra boost and recognition in the marketplace, and increased our enrollment in September by nearly 10%. And then obviously we're taking some impact on the rental side because some students vacated, but we did offer like isolation period for students coming back in recent weeks. The border reopened for international students, so we gave them a discount, 2 weeks of isolation period for free, allowing them to transition them into a long-term stay of our other apartments. So all these were the actions that we have taken and generating great results. Finally is the opportunity to acquire. We actually went out and took a chance and bought 2 more buildings in the midst of the pandemic. It was a great discount. We got nearly $7 million discount during the negotiation period, and now we're closing this week, and the value went up $12 million. So altogether, it turns out to be quite a productive year. And we also told our staff, this probably a boot camp for all of us, from senior management to the most junior staff. We learned how to survive. We learned how to change our model, change our customer base, and increase our productivities. So those are the things that we've done over the past 7 months.
Thanks, Toby. I think we can all learn, and we'll dig into that a little bit more, but in every crisis, there are also opportunities that arise, and you certainly have highlighted a couple of those great opportunities. Stephan, maybe I'll pass it over to you and maybe share your perspective within your organization.
So because we're in IT, in the last 6 months, I've started request for solutions to help the community. So I can go on forever. Even today, I just got. So I'll give you 2 examples. Like in the last 6 months, we developed a virtual health clinic for hospitals to help manage testing. We also developed an app to track visitor traffic. So those are the 2 examples. I had at least 5. So how did it help us? It helped us to understand ourselves. Like the last 20 years, we do customers, hospitals, healthcare organizations, etc., etc. So this is the first time we are actually going into the community. So we do learn that IT can be used to help communities and societies.
Great, thank you. I think one of the great things I admire about all of you and the entrepreneurs is that community spirit that you all have to really give back, even in challenging times as these. Thanks for sharing. Kit, what are your thoughts? You can share.
Well, the pandemic has both helped and hindered our business. Like it really exposed some of our bricks and mortar locations that were borderline understaffed. And you could probably see in a situation where, because we're in healthcare, and really if one member goes down with a small cough or a runny nose, small symptoms, but potentially of COVID, the entire team has to quarantine. And so it becomes a very difficult situation to manage through if you don't have a lot of redundancy in your system to sort of backfill some of that absenteeism. We had to start implementing daily updates and changes to policies, sometimes twice daily, because the situation was ever evolving. And it was really tough, of course, as you all know, to keep up with PPE requirements in the front lines, just to keep our staff safe. So those were the challenges. But on the positive side, it really allowed our innovative practices to shine through, such as virtual consults, virtual prescribing, quick delivery services. And it's resulted in our business picking up significantly. And we've been able to win contracts from competitors, and things such as, just like Graham mentioned, the homeless type of patient population, COVID isolation shelters. Those are all things that we've picked up during the pandemic, which have been a significant uptick for us. And it also allowed us to work very closely with the government of Alberta to really deliver care. So I think overall it helps that we were well adapted to providing a high level of service, but we were also very much incorporated into multiple different virtual techs already. So both a difficult time and a blessing in disguise for us.
Great. And I think on the theme of sort of resilience, because you've all demonstrated within all your industries that you are able to weather all these different changes and uncharted experiences, I'd love to kind of understand and learn a little bit more in terms of, whether it's pre or post-COVID, what would you say are some of the important business decisions that you have had to make? And maybe just open it up to the group.
Well, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So
Graham, I'll pass it to you first, and then Stephen, and then Toby.
Okay. Well, the pre decisions obviously were very important as much as the when it happened. Pre decisions, for example, like making sure we were diversified. That worst case scenario, that we had enough types of businesses in different industries, that we were sheltered from these types of things that affect one type of business more than others. The other thing that we did early was build a really strong leadership team. Because we're so diversified, we've got a lot of different leaders in each division of our companies. And each one has been able to handle this incredibly well. So that was really important. The other thing that we did, again, a tribute to my dad, was always making sure that you were conservative. And I have very little debt. So, no matter how bad things are, we're going to be okay. And some of our business, for example, our music festival business, is that, we don't actually spend anything on the music festival. There's no festivals because we're using greenfields. And if you don't have a festival, you don't have to buy the fencing and toilets and all that stuff. So when it did happen, though, we were definitely prepared because we did enough research around past pandemics like the Spanish flu and realized, this is going to be a long time. So we immediately went to action right away. The Spanish flu had, 3 waves. The second wave, which would be kind of our second wave right now, was worse than the first wave. And we basically structured right away how to deal with this. Which parts of our business do we trim back? Which ones do we go hard? And now we're planning right now to plan for post-pandemic, whenever that might happen. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Yeah.
Stephen, throw it over to you.
Okay, two things that are very important. One is I have 150 people, and now they're all working from home. In the past, I'm a little bit reluctant about working from home. Now, the norm. So they find out they're very efficient, works out well. So in fact, I recently had a discussion with another government agency about will people come back to work, workplace after the pandemic, and I said, this is going to stay. So that makes a big change. How people are now more equipped and more adapted to working. I think that actually is good for the employee and for the employer. Because we are in technology, we always believe that technology is being changed. Forward actually accelerating and validating. So now we learn all the existing technology that we have planned for IoT, blockchain, cloud, AI, and not only can we apply that right way, and we have to do it fast. we used to take our time to work properly. With COVID, we have to learn to be very quick. So there's no time to stay. So we have to do quick. Those are the two things that impact the most.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Toby, over to you.
Sure. Yeah, I guess one of the biggest change we've made and a change that we plan on making for a long time was unsuccessful until COVID. This is online education. Most of our instructors, even our students, or even regulators in British Columbia or across Canada have been very reluctant in accepting online education. So we do have a supporting platform of, like doing homework support as online. But it's always been a supporting platform rather than a delivering platform. So on March 19th, I still remember that day, all the campuses were shut down across the country, no matter what school you're in. And all of a sudden, our supporting platform flipped to become the main platform. And we have to deliver all the programs and accommodate 5,000 students to be online at any given time. That was a major challenge. And our IT team, they were working like 24/7, like literally sleeping at the campus, just to make sure that the new technologies and everything's being bottleneck and expanded, open up, and start delivering. So yeah, it was quite interesting. And now we're 7 months into the system. Everyone seems to have accepted it, even the regulators. From pre-COVID to post-COVID, the regulator now recently announced that, okay, all the programs delivered online will get the same recognition, the same academic credits, et cetera, at least in BC anyways. I'm not sure about Ontario. But that definitely changed the entire world, because when we are delivering online, we can have a much broader audience, with more students, but then the supporting also need to escalate. But on the other hand, something we've been pushing for online education for the past 10 years was changed in a matter of 1 week, that everybody start accepting it. So that's number one in terms of the biggest impact on people's minds, on policies and regulations, all change because of this COVID. And then midway through the pandemic sessions, we also look at all of our mortgage needs. Interest rate is at the lowest in the last 45 years. I actually did a check on that a few days ago, and we immediately start looking at all of our mortgage renewal. We're talking about like 0.25%, 0.5% at a typical mortgage rate of 1.65 for a 5 to 10 year term. So we saw that as another opportunity. From pre-COVID, everybody was sitting at about 3.5%, and it's almost like a 30% drop in cost of operation. So that again is a real game changer. And then the exodus of capital from Asia, that may be related to politics, but definitely related to pandemic as well. It made a huge economic impacts to money in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, and they all start looking at an exodus of capital. So we actually increase, as I mentioned earlier, our marketing on the student recruitment side as well as on the investment side. So we were successfully able to bring in over $40 million in new capital in the last 90 days, because Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong are facing the issues of economic situations and the political situation. So they are now looking at diversifying the investment. Finally, Warren Buffett once said, when people panic, I become greedy. So we look for buying opportunities, and we were successful in doing that, and bought 2 more buildings at a discounted rate, and stepping up. We took a risk on marketing, took a risk on buying more properties at a discounted rate. Really made a difference between pre-COVID, kind of everybody's in a comfort zone, to post-COVID, you need to go out and get. And I think it's a great boot camp for our entire staff, and relearning and retooling of what we have been doing.
Yeah, it triggered a lot of things for me as you talked about, like, sort of these are still deemed as calculated risks. right? In terms of making sure, and I feel that at times we usually go and reduce costs, but you kind of went that contrarian approach to kind of like invest more, just from a marketing perspective as well. Did you focus just purely on digital, or did you look at sort of holistically where your target audience is and how do you go about investing in the right places?
Digital definitely made a big difference. We used to advertise quite a bit, millions a year in like radio, television, the traditional bus. We have many Metro Transit bus painted as Rock Shop throughout the city. 1 out of 10 buses are painted as Rock Shop bus. And then of course, digital, all that went out the window. Who is going to go buy newspaper? Who is going to be driving on the highway, seeing a bus or driving around the city? So we switched quite a bit more into digital. And one interesting thing we find out is that during the COVID crisis, most people are staying at home in their den, looking at the computer and rethinking their life. So we pour so much money on digital, and people actually, students actually made much earlier, more aggressive decisions than the past, and say, hey, I'm going to put my life into perspective, and they're always in front of a computer. So that really helped in the digital marketing and getting a lot of eyeballs.
Thanks, Toby. Kit, and I'll throw it over to you in terms of from your organization, like what were some of the important business decisions that you had to make, and maybe also elaborate on maybe about building a culture during this period of time with the different pharmacies that you have.
Yeah, sure. So I think the overall biggest business decision we made was actually to just overprotect our people. You talk about culture, and culture is made up of people. And so, in the early stages of pandemic, think about January, February, before all of it really blew up, there was an opportunity for everyone and a lot of organizations to kind of wave off COVID and say, oh, it's just flu, or it's not going to come quite as heavy, but we didn't. Instead, we took a very contrarian approach and really hit that hard and said, you know what, we are going to implement touchless technology, safe practices very, very early. And we secured PPE way in advance, understanding that there may be a risk, and it sure ended up being quite an event. And so I think protecting our people was the biggest business decision that we made. And it sort of gets into sort of the culture that we have, which is we want to always help people feel better. And whether it be our own staff, whether it be the patients that we serve, that is a huge component of our culture. But in addition to that, I mean, we do a lot of things that help continue to foster the culture right at the ground level. We have budgets for every one of our teams, so 13 teams across all of Alberta, where it is up to the manager to go and break bread with their team every week, or they can save up the money and do certain type of activities. And all of it can be safe, all of it can be socially distant, but all of it does foster that togetherness and that familial bond that is sort of present when you're fighting a pandemic or when you're trying to help patients within the confines of a very tight space, which is what traditional pharmacy practice is. And so we do a lot of that. We do a lot of training, and we do a lot of gaming, actually, using video games to teach critical skill sets. And in this sort of virtual setting, video games have become an even better teaching tool for us. An example of that is, I don't know if anybody plays any video games, but Overcooked is a 4-player game. You kind of all gather together and you cook together, but really we use a game like Overcooked to teach pharmacy managers skills of directing, of workflow, getting other people to contribute helpful tips into how to better maximize the efficiency of their workspace. All of that is through games. And so that's how we've mostly built our cultures, through a lot of fun things that we do.
Oh, Thank you for sharing. I know we could spend the whole afternoon talking about it, but unfortunately, we're there's a huge schedule upon us. And so I think the last question I would love to pose to our panel would be like, what is the one insight that you can share with the audience to kind of help them prepare for what's to come, and what market opportunities that may uncover, with the months to come. Stephan, I'll start it with you. We have been getting some feedback with maybe some echo, or we're hearing you in and out. So just make sure if there's an opportunity for just to check the sound as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds better now. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm actually a serial entrepreneur. I'm actually a member of the Young Angels. On top of Dapasoft, I have found 5 companies in the past 20 years. That being said, you know what? I just started 3 companies.
Stephan, you're coming out in and out a bit for me.
Oh, is it better now?
Yeah.
Maybe I should put my anyway. So I already started 3 companies because of COVID. One is with the company in Germany to do COVID testing. One is a local company with a local group to do social distancing. One is to do with my Hong Kong buddy to manufacture PPE in Canada. So that's telling people if COVID actually bring more opportunity than what I have in the last 15, 20 years. As to how to prepare yourself, it's very sad. The point is I'm prepared because I'm with technology, cloud, data, IoT, blockchain, etc., etc. The message to the entrepreneur is be prepared. The step it's too late to prepare now. You better be ready by now. So I have a strong bias for IT. I have a computer science degree, and I always encourage young people to do IT career, and it continues to be so in today and tomorrow. And again, be prepared, but it's too late to prepare now, unfortunately.
Okay. I know there's some feedback, just the volume's a little bit choppy, but just to reiterate, just a couple key things that Stephan has mentioned. Just be prepared. If you have children, make sure that they sign up for IT courses and become, IT specialists. And I think that you never can be more prepared. So in terms of the next challenge or the next emergency to come, plan now for that. Hopefully I do some justice for reiterating your point, Stephan. And I'll open it up because I know we're running a little bit over time, but Graham, maybe if you can share some insights on what we can think about in the upcoming markets.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of changes the way we live, the way we work, and the way we engage with people, and some will be permanent, some will be temporary. And I think it's just finding what those are. We're shifting, for example, we're looking at the future of our live entertainment that, esports can be a big deal. So we're actually starting a new esport division within our company. We are also looking at changing the way touring music works right now. So we have a big IT department, but again, it's looking sort of into the future and what that might look like. As Edison used to say, it's 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. So I think, if you're coming out into the work world right now, I would also encourage that, there's so many ideas out there along those lines of, where the future might move to. But just find, if you find something, it really comes down to the work ethic. How hard you work on it, how you facilitate it, how you set yourself up for success. Whether it's the right mentors, the right attitude, the right research, get the right people around you to get set up. And for us, that's what's worked really well.
I think on that note, I would like to thank Stephan, Toby, Graham, and Kit for your feedback and just sharing your experience with us. I think we all can take away, and assess how it can apply to our own personal careers and organization. And so thank you for your time and for the conversation. With that, we're going to wrap up the panel discussion. And I think coming up next would be the breakout session. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.